Hello everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to hear more meaningful stories.
Ava Johnson was 28, beautiful in a way that didn't beg for attention, serene, composed, the kind of beauty that held its own in silence. She moved like a woman who had once been broken, but had taught herself how to walk with dignity through the ruins. 7 months pregnant, her rounded belly curved proudly beneath a soft cream gown as she sat quietly in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by the joyful noise of her family preparing for the wedding of the year. Laughter echoed from the kitchen, where her aunties fried chicken and argued about guest lists. Children screamed through the hallways, and somewhere in the chaos, someone shouted, "Who put the baby wipes in the cooler?" But Ava, bathed in soft light, rubbed her belly in slow circles, calm amid the storm. Her white veil hung like a promise on the door. Tasha, her cousin with sharp words and sharper instincts, burst in without knocking, gum popping between her teeth. "You're really just going to sit here till morning?" she asked, flopping down beside her. "Aren't you going to do something special for Malik?" Ava raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" Tasha rolled her eyes dramatically. "Girl, you're marrying the love of your life. He's at the Marlowe Hotel right now. You should sneak in, give him that gold wristwatch, maybe write a sweet little note, knock his socks off." Ava chuckled tiredly. "Tasha, my feet hurt. I've been standing all day." Tasha leaned in, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Exactly. That's why it'll mean even more. Do it for love." Ava hesitated, fingers curling over her belly. "Wouldn't it be weird? Just showing up?" "It's your man," Tasha shot back. "You're carrying his baby. Your wedding is tomorrow. Who else should be knocking on his door?" Ava looked at her, then slowly stood. "Okay," she said. "I'll go, but I'm not staying long." Tasha grinned like she'd won a prize. "Good girl." And with that, Ava picked up the little paper bag holding the wristwatch and a folded letter she'd written hours before, not knowing the night would unravel the truth in ways she could never have imagined. The Marlowe Hotel stood quiet and elegant under the velvet night, its glass doors glowing with soft gold light. Ava stepped out of the Uber slowly, one hand under her belly, the other clutching a small paper bag. Inside was the gold wristwatch, wrapped in tissue, and the letter she had poured her heart into. Her sandals whispered against the marble floor as she entered the lobby. At the reception desk, she offered a gentle smile. "Good evening. I'm looking for Mr. Malik Carter. He checked in earlier today." The receptionist typed, then glanced up with a courteous smile. "Yes, ma'am. Mr. Carter is here, but he's not alone. He asked not to be disturbed." Ava blinked. "Not alone?" The receptionist nodded politely. "He came in with a woman." For a moment, everything inside Ava stilled. Her heartbeat slowed, then rushed back like a flood. She thanked the woman, turned away, and walked toward the elevator with the weight of doubt pressing down on her chest. Her reflection stared back at her in the steel doors, composed, unreadable, but her fingers trembled. Maybe it was his sister, a friend, someone from the wedding team. But deep down, a voice inside her whispered, "Go up there. Don't ignore this." The elevator opened. She pressed the button for the 7th floor. The hallway was dim, the air cold. Her steps were slow and steady down the carpeted corridor. She passed 708, 710, then stopped at 712. Muffled voices drifted from inside. Laughter. Then a sound that made her stomach twist, moaning. Ava's hand flew to her mouth to keep the scream trapped. Her body stiffened as she leaned closer, pressing her ear against the door. Malik's voice rang out, clear and cruel. "Ava's too emotional these days, always talking about the future. I'm only marrying her for the baby. If she wasn't pregnant, I'd be gone." A woman giggled. "You're wicked," he chuckled. "She thinks it's love. But she's nothing without that baby. After the wedding, I'll have full control." Then kissing. More moaning. The bed creaked. Ava's lips parted, her breath caught in her throat. Her eyes burned but didn't cry. Slowly, she reached into her purse, pulled out her phone, opened the recorder, and hit record. She didn't flinch. She stood there, steady, capturing every lie, every sound of betrayal. She wanted to collapse, to scream into the night, but instead she documented the evidence with silent fury. 6 minutes later, she stepped back, still recording, walking like a ghost down the hallway, into the elevator, out of the hotel. Her hand fell over her belly, not in joy, but in fierce, maternal defense. In the car, the driver asked if she was okay. She nodded without words. At a pharmacy nearby, she bought tissues, water, and a new memory card. She backed up the recording, emailed it to herself, then sat motionless in the back seat, breathing through a storm only she could feel. When she finally whispered, it was not to the driver or herself, but to Malik. "You think I'm a fool. Tomorrow I'll show you." Ava didn't sleep that night. She lay on her side, eyes wide open, staring into the dim glow of the bedside lamp. The phone beside her still shimmered with the playback screen of the recording. His voice, her cousin's laughter, the sound of betrayal etched into digital permanence. She was 7 months pregnant, carrying the child of a man who had mocked her loyalty from a hotel bed. While her family downstairs laughed and folded ribbons, she rehearsed vengeance in silence. At 5:12 a.m., she sat up slowly, her body heavy, but her mind sharp as a blade. By sunrise, the house was alive, sizzling oil, gospel music, decorators shouting about flower arrangements. Ava moved like a shadow through it all, unseen yet watchful. In the guest room, behind a closed door, she made her first call. "Uncle Henry," she whispered. The man on the other end answered with warmth. "Ava, everything all right?" "No, sir," she replied, voice tight. "I need your help. Please, don't ask questions yet. I'll explain everything, but I need you to pull your investment from Malik's company." A pause. "The wedding is tomorrow, Ava. That's why I'm calling now. Do it before it's too late." "Did he do something?" "Yes," she said flatly. Silence stretched. "I'll take care of it," Uncle Henry said at last. "Are you safe? I am now. I'm proud of you." She ended the call and dialed the next. "Barrister Fundy," she said as the voice picked up. "Morning, Ava. Big day, huh?" "Not anymore," she replied coldly. "I need you to cancel the marriage license. Remove it from the registry. Completely." There was a stunned pause. "Wait, what?" "I'll cover any fee. I just want that license voided today. Not tomorrow. Not even for 1 minute." "Is this about Malik? Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," she said. "Okay," he relented. "I'll contact the registrar before the office opens. Please send me confirmation. You'll have it within the hour." She ended the call and sat back, her fingers resting on her bare ring finger. There had never been a ring, and now there never would be. By 8 o'clock, the compound pulsed with celebration. Women peeled yams in colorful wrappers, the decorator hung satin ribbons across the canopy, and gospel music thundered from the kitchen speakers. Guests began arriving, full of laughter and anticipation. But Ava moved through it all like a ghost cloaked in silk, silent, focused, unreachable. She had already slipped away to her room, locked the door, and retrieved a small black device, a Bluetooth audio transmitter no bigger than a matchbox. She tested it, then tucked it deep into the heart of her bouquet, nestled between pale roses and baby's breath. Just 30 seconds was all she would need. She whispered to herself as she looked into the mirror. Not every bride walks into a wedding. Some walk into war. Outside, Malik stood tall in a wine-colored suit, freshly shaven and flashing a charming smile to guests as if nothing in the world could touch him. His shoes gleamed. His groomsmen clapped him on the back. "Today is your day, bro," one said. "You pulled a queen." Malik laughed, arrogant and at ease. "Of course, I always win." Beside him, Tasha, her curls bouncing, her gold bridesmaid dress hugging her curves, pretended to photograph flowers while stealing glances at him. When their eyes met, she looked away too fast, too proud. Ava watched them both from the upstairs window, veil draped across her shoulders like a judge's robe. She didn't feel rage anymore, only clarity. Downstairs, her bridal car was ready, its white ribbons fluttering in the morning wind. Guests swarmed the yard with phones held high, children shrieking, "The bride is here!" Ava sat still inside the vehicle, her silk gown cascading like water around her, her face painted in calm defiance. Her father leaned toward her, holding her hand with trembling pride. "Are you ready, my daughter?" Ava turned to him, her eyes steady and voice even. "Yes, Daddy, I'm ready." And when the door opened, she stepped out, not as a bride in love, but as a woman armed with truth, about to detonate it beneath the altar. The church was dressed like a dream, white walls gleaming, gold ribbons curling from every pew, and soft petals scattered along the aisle. A banner hung above the altar in bold letters, "Welcome to the wedding of Malik and Ava." Inside, guests whispered excitedly, snapping selfies, adjusting fascinators, waiting for love to make its grand entrance. Malik stood at the altar, beaming in his crisp white suit with black velvet trim, his wristwatch glinting under the light. His friends nudged him playfully. "She's really coming," one whispered. "You pulled it off, man." Malik smirked. "Told you. When a man knows what he wants, he goes for it." Tasha stood nearby in her golden bridesmaid gown, smiling too wide, eyes darting every few seconds, playing the role of loyal cousin while hiding her sin like perfume. Then the music changed. The organ hummed, and all heads turned as Ava stepped into the doorway. She was breathtaking, gown flowing like liquid ivory, veil casting a soft shadow over her face. She walked slowly, deliberately, each step heavy with purpose. Malik's face lit up with relief. He leaned toward his best man. "She came," he whispered. "I thought she'd changed her mind." As Ava reached the altar, her father kissed her forehead and stepped aside. Malik whispered, "You look amazing." Ava said nothing. She simply turned to face Reverend Scott, bouquet firm in her hands. The ceremony began with soft words about love and unity, about trust and forever. Then came the vows. Reverend Scott turned to Malik. "Groom, your vows, please." Malik took the mic with a confident smile. "Ava," he said, "from the first day I met you, I knew you were different. You brought peace to my chaos, joy to my routine. You carry our child, and you carry my heart. I promise to love, protect, and honor you for the rest of my life." The crowd applauded. Some wiped tears. Malik handed the mic back, proud. Then Reverend Scott looked to Ava. "Bride, your vows?" She didn't move right away. Then, slowly, she reached into her bouquet and pressed a hidden button. The sound system crackled. A beat later, Malik's voice filled the church, not from the altar, but from the recording. "Ava's too emotional these days. I'm only marrying her because of the baby." Gasps spread like fire. "She's nothing without that baby. Once the wedding is done, I'll control everything." Then moaning, kissing, laughter, chaos. People turned, stunned. Someone stood. "Turn it off." But Ava stepped forward, her voice like ice. "No, let it finish." Malik's face drained of color. He reached for the mic, but Reverend Scott held him back. "What is this?" Ava lifted her head. "That," she said, "was recorded last night in room 712 of the Marlowe Hotel while I was home praying for this day." She turned to the crowd. "That's the man I was supposed to marry. That's what he thinks of me, of our child." Gasps became murmurs. Phones came out. People recorded. Malik stammered. "Ava, it's not what you think." "Don't," she snapped. "Don't insult me further." Tasha tried to slip out of the row, but Ava's voice cut through like a blade. "And before anyone asks who the woman was, look no further." She pointed at Tasha. "My cousin, my bridesmaid, my maid of honor, the other woman." The church erupted. Screams. A faint thud as someone collapsed. Tasha's face crumpled. Malik stood frozen, shame rippling off him like heat. Ava removed her veil, lifted her chin. Her voice was clear. "I came here to marry a man I thought loved me. Instead, I found truth. And now, I walk away. Not broken, not ashamed, just free." She dropped her ring onto the floor, turned, and walked back down the aisle. The choir, stunned but moved, began to sing softly, and the guests, one by one, rose to their feet and clapped, not for a wedding, but for a woman who chose herself. Ava never looked back. Outside the church, the sun cast a golden crown over Ava's head as she stepped onto the gravel, her gown billowing like a flag of rebellion behind her. She held her bouquet loosely now, the same one that had delivered her vengeance, and walked without hesitation, each footstep a quiet revolution. Around her, the crowd spilled out in stunned silence, some whispering, some filming, some simply watching as if they'd witnessed the fall of a king and the rise of a queen in a single breath. A woman from her father's church approached with trembling hands, voice low. "Ava, my daughter, are you all right?" Ava met her gaze, steady and unshaken. "I will be." From somewhere behind, a shout, "Is the wedding canceled?" And another woman, firm and clear, replied, "Not canceled, exposed." The news rippled. More guests rushed to their cars, murmuring into phones. Inside, the music had died. Joy had drained from the room like air from a punctured balloon. Malik stood at the altar, shaking, his mouth moving with no sound. His mother stormed forward, voice sharp. "Malik Carter, is this true? Tell me it's a lie." He stammered. "Mom, I didn't." She slapped his shoulder. "Don't lie to me. We heard it. Your voice, your wickedness. You've disgraced us all." He crumpled onto the pew, face in his hands, the spotlight of shame too heavy to carry. Pastor Scott sat stunned, gripping his Bible, the weight of the scene burning into his memory like fire on old pages. "What do we do, Pastor?" someone asked. He looked up slowly. "We pray." Meanwhile, Tasha tried to slip away unnoticed through a side door, but two women blocked her path. "Where do you think you're going?" one asked coldly. "You ruined your cousin's wedding and you think you can just vanish?" Tasha begged, her voice cracking. "It was a mistake." "A mistake that lasted all night?" Another snapped. "In room 712? The crowd surrounded her. Phones recorded. Voices rose. Her shame was now public property. Back outside, Ava's father stepped beside her and touched her shoulder. "Let's go home." Ava turned to him with calm fire in her eyes. "Not yet." Confused, he followed as she walked back toward the church, her gown catching the wind like storm clouds returning to the sky. Guests parted as she passed. Even those who hadn't understood what was happening stepped aside, instinctively recognizing the authority of a woman walking in her truth. Ava re-entered the church, silence folding around her like a robe. Malik stood when he saw her, desperate. "Please, Ava, don't leave like this. We can fix it." She kept walking. Back to the altar. Back to the mic. She turned to the crowd. "I need to speak, one last time." Reverend Scott nodded, stepping back. Ava took a breath. "This isn't just for me. This is for every woman who trusted too much, gave too much, and got nothing but betrayal. For every woman who carried a man's child while he carried secrets." She looked Malik dead in the eye. "I gave you my heart, my loyalty, my body, and you gave it to someone else behind my back." She turned to Tasha, who had been forced back into a seat. "Blood should protect, not betray. You weren't just my cousin, you were my sister." Tasha looked down, shamed beyond words. Ava turned back to Reverend Scott. "This wedding cannot continue." He bowed his head solemnly. "As you wish." Ava looked out to the sea of faces. "I may walk out of here alone, but I walk out whole." And with that, she stepped down once more, mic still in hand, as the guests rose, not in confusion, but in thunderous applause. Some cried, some whispered prayers, and the choir began to sing softly, a new song for a different kind of bride. Ava didn't need a man beside her to be complete. She had her truth, her dignity, and the power to walk away. Back at home, Ava sat barefoot on her bed, her white gown folded neatly beside her, like a relic of a battle survived. Her hair was loose now, her makeup smudged, but her eyes burned with a quiet fire that no humiliation could extinguish. She held her belly gently, whispering to her unborn child, "It's just you and me now, and we're going to be okay." Her phone buzzed. It was Uncle Henry. She answered. "I've pulled every cent." His voice came steady. "Malik's accounts will freeze in 48 hours. He won't see it coming." Ava closed her eyes. "Thank you. I'm proud of you," he said. "You did what most women never dare to." "I had no choice," she replied softly. "No," he said. "You had a choice, and you chose yourself." After the call ended, Ava walked to her wall and pulled down the wedding invitation that still hung by her mirror. She tore it in half without ceremony and dropped it into the trash. The next morning, the world had shifted. There was no gospel music echoing through the kitchen, no decorators screaming over centerpieces, just silence. Ava rose from bed slowly, rubbing her stomach as her baby kicked once, as if to remind her she wasn't alone. Her phone buzzed, 10 missed calls from Malik, 14 from Tasha. Her name was already trending on Instagram. Ava the Brave, Room 712, Altar Bombshell. A video clip of her speech was racing toward 500,000 views. She read messages quietly, one after the other. Some made her laugh, some made her ache. Then she paused on a message from a woman named Nosi. "I've been in a toxic marriage for years. I never had the strength to leave. But after seeing you walk out with your head held high, I packed my bags and walked too. You reminded me that I matter." Ava read it twice, then leaned back in her chair, hands resting on her belly, eyes staring into nothing. The ache in her chest eased slightly, replaced by something stronger than fame. Purpose. She wasn't just making noise, she was making change. Later that day, Ava walked into the doctor's office, the fluorescent lights humming softly above her. The nurse smiled, guided her to the examination room, and within minutes the rhythmic heartbeat of her baby filled the space like a sacred drum. The doctor beamed. "She's strong," he said. "So are you." Ava smiled faintly. On her way out, a woman in the hallway stopped her. "Are you? Ava Johnson?" Ava nodded cautiously. The woman wrapped her in a sudden hug. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know me, but you gave me the courage to leave a man who broke me." Ava's eyes shimmered, but didn't spill. When she returned home, she sat beneath the almond tree in her backyard, her notebook on her lap, and began to write. Not just words, but a space, a haven, a blog. The Bride Who Walked. Her first post read, "I wore a white gown, but I didn't marry shame. I walked away, and that walk saved me." Stories began to pour in, women from every corner, sharing their pain, their healing, their silence. Ava responded to each one, slowly, tenderly, as if mending a tapestry of broken hearts. Meanwhile, Mullock's world collapsed like a house of cards in a storm. His lawyer called again, this time with panic. "Your accounts are frozen. Your investors' withdrawal triggered a chain reaction. We're shutting down." Malik sat motionless in the shadow of his office, stripped of the empire he built on charm and lies. No staff, no deals, no future. He tried calling Ava. She didn't answer. He tried Tasha. Her line was disconnected. Ava watched it all unfold through news articles and silent inboxes filled with screenshots from strangers. But she didn't gloat. She didn't post. She simply kept writing, letters, reflections, truths. One day, a message came from a 17-year-old girl named Peace. "My uncle had been hurting me. I told my aunt after I read your story. She believed me. I'm safe now. Thank you." Ava pressed her hand to her chest and whispered, "Maybe that's why it happened." The pain that once threatened to consume her was now lighting torches for others. That night, rain lashed against the windows as Ava stood in her bedroom folding baby towels, the warm glow of the bedside lamp casting soft shadows on the walls. Then it hit, sharp, deep, undeniable. She gripped the edge of the dresser, gasping as the pain curled through her spine. Her mother rushed in, eyes wide. "It's time," she said. Ava nodded, breath trembling. "Call the driver." Within minutes, the car sped through wet streets, windshield wipers struggling to keep up with the storm. Her father held her hand tightly, whispering, "You're strong, my daughter. Just breathe." In the delivery room, fluorescent lights blinked overhead, and the air was thick with urgency. Nurses moved around her like angels in motion. "You're doing great," one said, her voice calm but firm. Sweat pooled at Ava's temples. Her teeth clenched, her fingers gripping the sheets as another wave of pain crashed through her. And then, after what felt like a lifetime, the sound broke through. A cry, tiny but powerful, slicing through the noise and settling into her chest like light. "It's a girl," the nurse beamed. They placed the baby on Ava's chest, slippery, warm, and breathing, and for a long, trembling second, Ava just stared. Her heart cracked open with something beyond love. This was redemption. The baby blinked, and Ava whispered, "Grace, Grace Ava Carter." News spread like wildfire. Messages poured in. Flowers, letters, prayers. Even Reverend Scott sent a handwritten note. "You didn't stand before the altar, but you walked into something far greater. May God bless you and your daughter." 1 week later, Ava sat under the mango tree, nursing Grace in her arms. Her father brought her the newspaper with a proud smile. "You made the front page again." She took it, scanned the bold headline, "From Broken Bride to Bold Mother." Ava laughed softly, brushing her fingers over her daughter's cheek. "Let them talk," she whispered. "Queens don't chase crowds. They build thrones." Weeks passed like pages in a book. Ava was finally writing on her own terms. Her small office downtown had opened, a clean, white-walled space with 3 chairs, a kettle in the corner, and a banner above the desk that read, "You are not weak. You are walking away from what wasn't yours." She came every day with baby Grace nestled against her chest in a soft sling, her presence both gentle and fierce. Women began to visit, quiet, weary, hollow-eyed. But when they sat across from Ava, something changed. She listened, not with pity, but with recognition. She shared when needed, cried when silence was too heavy, and held hands without judgment. One afternoon, a girl barely 18 walked in wearing slippers too big for her and holding a baby that didn't cry, just stared. Her voice cracked as she said, "I don't know where else to go." Ava reached forward, her tone steady, warm. "Then you've already come to the right place." The girl burst into tears, and Ava pulled her close. That night, back home, her mother rubbed her shoulders while her father folded baby clothes. Joy had returned to their home not with loud laughter, but with peace that wrapped around them like a lullaby. Riley came over carrying 2 oversized bags of baby gifts. "I know you said no gifts," she grinned, "but sue me." Ava laughed, soft and full. "You're spoiling her already." They sat together, sipping warm tea, talking about life and healing. "Are you scared?" Riley asked gently. Ava paused, watching Grace sleep. "A little. But I'm ready." The next day, she was invited to speak at a university. She stood on stage in a blue dress, Grace sleeping soundly against her chest. The hall was packed students, professors, mothers, daughters. She took a breath and raised the mic. My name is Ava Johnson. I was supposed to be someone's wife, but I chose to be something better, myself. The audience erupted. She continued, I walked away while pregnant, humiliated and heartbroken, but that walk saved my life. Tears rolled down cheeks. Hands clapped. A few women stood. Walking away doesn't mean you're weak, Ava said, her voice echoing. It means you remember who you are. Far away, Malik watched the speech on his phone from a plastic chair in a one-room apartment. No office, no applause, just regret. He knew then he hadn't just lost a wedding. He'd lost a woman people would write about. A woman who, when faced with ruin, rose and rebuilt with nothing but truth, grace, and a child in her arms. That night, Ava lay beside Grace, kissed her forehead, and whispered, You saved me. Now I'll spend the rest of my life saving others. Moonlight poured through the window like a blessing. A new chapter had begun, and this one she owned completely. Sometimes, walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. Ava didn't just leave a wedding. She reclaimed her voice, protected her child, and became a light for others trapped in silence. Strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet step toward freedom. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful narratives that speak truth, healing, and resilience.